ship celebrates Revolution Day, the 6th anniversary of the overthrow of King Farouk, with President Gamal Abdel Nasser smilingly accepting the acclaim of 250,000 in Cairo. He had but recently returned from 2 weeks of travel that took him to Belgrade, Moscow, and Damascus, while the Mideast crisis reached fever pitch. Says Nasser, Arab nationalism will sweep the Middle East, but he'll be happy to join Khrushchev and Eisenhower in the proposed summit meeting at the United Nations. In Lebanon, Robert Murphy, the State Department's ace troubleshooter, met President Camille Shaboul, opening his task of mediating some compromise between Lebanon's clashing factions that would permit withdrawal of United States troops. New presidential elections have already been deferred to permit the choice of a candidate acceptable to all. The Mideast was quiet, but American evacuees from Iraq were arriving in Rome, 10 hours away. In the first group were 36 women, 54 children. Nearly 300 Americans have left since the brief but violent revolution. Jordan still observed mourning, 9 days after the Iraqi rebels killed King Feisal and government leaders. But otherwise, in the capital city of Amman, business went on as usual, with no sign that Jordan too was gravely menaced. Until the arrival of British troops, all flags at half-mast, and King Hussein, in his first appearance for the camera since the crisis began, demanded that the slaying of his cousin King Feisal be punished. Hussein's assassination has been called for in Nasser-controlled radio broadcasts. American economic aid bolstering the Jordan regime takes the form of an immediate airlift of desperately needed oil and gasoline. Giant Globemasters fly in 1,000 tons daily to replace the supply cut off by rebel activities in Iraq and Lebanon. A grant of $7.5 million in addition has been made available to help out young King Hussein. But the focus of attention in the Mideast crisis was shifted to the world stage by Nikita Khrushchev after the situation in fact began to stabilize with a demand for a big power summit meeting, the upshot of an exchange of letters with Ike, prospective summit meeting under United Nations auspices. It promises to be the most portentous international meeting since World War II. Transatlantic arrival of the week. Coronet Explorer arriving in New York Harbor from Copenhagen. The 22-foot craft powered by twin outboards made the 3,400-mile crossing in just under 11 days, escorted by the Swedish freighter Clary Thornton. It was a stormy crossing. 5 times the crew took shelter aboard the mothership. But even with the freighter in hand, the voyage was a severe test, for the cruiser had to maintain a pace of better than 17 knots, despite storms and heavy swells. It's the first time an outboard motorboat has crossed the Atlantic, an epic feat by a trio of latter-day Vikings.